This program is brought to you in association with First National Bank of Botswana. Welcome to First Issues. It seems like everything nowadays is a smart device. We have smart toasters, there are even smart dog collars, smart homes, and now smart wearable health devices, which are actually the premise of our conversation this evening with our resident medical expert here on First Issues, pharmacologist and consultant cardiologist, Dr. Kieran Bucket. Wearable technology in healthcare refers to devices that patients attach to their bodies to collect health and fitness data, which they may provide to doctors, health providers, insurers, and other relevant parties. Examples include fitness trackers, blood pressure monitors, and biosensors. With these wearable devices, patients have the ability to collect their own health data and report it in a digital format, eliminating a need for in-person appointments. Because of these benefits, the smart wearable health devices market was valued at $13.8 billion in 2020, and it's expected to balloon to a whopping $37.4 billion by the year 2028. While acknowledging that this is indeed a sizable industry that contributes significantly to the global economy, what negative consequences must we also be aware of that come with the use of these devices? Here is Dr. Kieran Bucket.
I think this is something that's coming to Botswana very quickly, and if you look around the city, if you look around the villages even, you'll see people wearing all sorts of things. They look like watches, they look like devices that you can put on your skin, in fact, and they are what I guess it's called digital health, where we are now able to empower the individual, to enable the individual and to educate the individual on their own health in their own space. The simplest ones are the ones that came out years ago, which measure how many steps you've taken or how many calories you've burnt. Or now particularly we have what I call continuous glucose monitors, where there are little patches almost like an elastic band which you put on your skin, and it continuously measures your sugar and links up to your phone. So this has enabled us, particularly with the COVID pandemic, when health was not easily accessible, it allowed us as practitioners to get in touch with our patients through this sort of digital software, where if we educated them how to transmit the data, we would get the data of how their blood pressure was, or how their sugar was, or how their cholesterol was, or what their state of health was in terms of how much weight they were gaining or how much weight they were losing during the lockdown. So it has really propelled the last 2.5 years the technology to allow us to enable health remotely, if you like. So this is what is wearable technology today.
How do they work, and are they accurate?
Well, this is the main issue that one needs to address with this. It is literally the dawn of digital technology. So what we have today is nothing compared to what I can predict is going to happen within the next couple of years. So you're absolutely right. To answer your second issue first, is we're not sure about the accuracy. We're not sure about the consistency, because one must remember that people of different ages are wearing the same technology. But people of different ages have different blood pressures, have different heart rates, have different fluctuations in their sugar. If you are somebody that is a night nurse or a night driver, or night train driver, you may eat at different times to us who work during the day, and so your sugars will vary in the wrong way compared to us if you have a sugar monitor. So the technology that's coming out very quickly is not yet capable of keeping up with the data that we require. We need millions and millions of data of people wearing this technology, of different age groups, of different ethnicities, of different who may be taking medication, as to what the relevance is. Because what we're having today is people wearing this technology and sending us information to say, in this extreme situation, I'm having a heart attack, doctor, when actually what the ECG or the electric wave pattern is showing is nothing like that, but the watch has interpreted it like that. So it's not only about educating practitioners, but also educating the public about the shortcomings at present with some of those technologies. So one needs to be careful, and they're available in Botswana. One needs to be careful what you buy, how it's used, and whether the person that sells it to you has actually told you about the drawbacks of that technology.
Let us speak more on those drawbacks. Are there any negative side effects or consequences to using these devices?
I think the side effects initially are those that apply to the device being put to your skin. So we have seen some reactions to some of the technology that's on the skin, particularly with the new what's called CGM, continuous glucose monitors, which are little devices about the size of a 5 pula coin, which you attach to your skin, and it measures sugar through your sweat. There have been some reactions to that. Sometimes the device on your hand may burn, or it may conduct electricity. You may have a pacemaker and a device. So there are a few things that are of concern. But by and large, the main concern is misinterpreting the data. That you're looking at this stuff, and for example, there are devices that tell you how many hours of sleep you've had, and whether you've had a restful sleep, whether you've had what we used to call hygienic sleep. You may be in bed for 8 hours, but how many hours have you slept? And sometimes the device misinterprets it and says you haven't had enough sleep. And that has what's called in medicine a nocebo effect. In other words, because you've seen that the watch tells you that you haven't slept well, you begin to feel like you haven't slept well. So rather than a placebo, which you feel better, a nocebo is, the watch tells me I'm going to have a lousy day, and you almost bring it upon yourself to have a lousy day. So these are the drawbacks that we're seeing where people are sending us this data. It's almost like the fashion these days to Google things, and sometimes Dr. Google gives you the wrong things, and then people get het up and have huge nightmares about some sort of little pimple on their skin, which they've Googled and said is cancer. So they come rushing to the doctor with chest pain or palpitations when actually there's nothing wrong with them. So that's the drawback in this age as people are acclimatizing and adapting to the technology.
So, Doctor, what does the future look like in terms of advances in technology with respect to these devices?
I'm a technologist, and I am a great fan of this technology because it's simply, in the very simplest terms, again, going back to the pandemic, it has allowed some of our elderly out in the village to actually communicate with us, not necessarily on a wearable device, but with a cell phone, with a WhatsApp, sending us their blood pressure or their sugar or their weight or what is wrong with them. Whereas before they'd have to come from Sarowe or from Paje or from Etsa. So it has allowed that distance in terms of telehealth. Taking it further with the wearable technology, I think there's an enormous avalanche that's going to fall upon us, where I'm aware that, for example, there is a very paper-thin skin type, almost like sellotape, that you put on your wrist, and it measures everything. It measures your oxygen, measures your heart rate, it measures your blood pressure. It tells you whether your temperature is up or down, whether you're about to have a rapid heart rate, what the cause of the heart rate is. It gets to know you on a day-to-day basis to say, this is Bonatsejo, this is her normal day. If it's deviating from the normal day, it tells you that something's not quite right. So it alerts you, it sort of predicts, it prevents. It's, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. So it predicts that today you need to be careful with what you eat or how you sleep or whether you over-exercise. If you've got eye strain, etc. So this technology is coming out very, very soon, and the downside for us in the global south is the cost. This is expensive technology, but like with cell phones, the technology will eventually come down in price. But it is something that we will definitely be using as practitioners to enable us to digitize our patients in terms of access to their health from very remote parts of our country.